Frames don't get you out, they buy you time. Your hips are what actually create the space you need to escape. The biggest mistake people make when escaping is trying to push someone away. You don't need to move them, you need to move yourself. There's exactly 3 steps to escaping. Build frames, create space, and then escape. This is part 2 of the escape series. Go back and watch part 1 to understand what frames are and how they work. In this one, we're gonna be breaking down the same for the hips, what they are, how they work, so we can better implement them with all of our escapes for pins or submissions. Frames keep the space you created, like a bookmark, while also limiting your exposure to submissions. Your hips are what create that space. There's exactly 3 ways your hips can create that space: bridging, shrimping, and kipping. First, let's knock out the easier ones, bridging and shrimping. Those are the first 2 things anyone learning how to do grappling or jiu-jitsu should learn on day 1, no exceptions. Bridging is when you pop your hips up off the mat, and that's used to help you build those frames to make a little bit of space so you can start to make those wedges against your opponent. With your frames established, your shrimp is what helps you create more space so you can either get out or realistically build a better frame, making your escape inevitable. Shrimps don't work without frames. If you just start shrimping underneath someone, you're literally spinning your gears. Your hips are the jack that lifts the car, but the blocks are what keep the car up once it's lifted. You see people try to escape pins by bridging furiously, but without combining that with a frame, they're getting nowhere. A bridge is a linear force. Whenever you bridge, it has a limit. You can only go as high as your shins allow, whereas a kip is locomotion. It is a small circular motion that repeats over and over again when combined with your frames to create the space that you need. To better understand what a kip is, you have to understand how to engage your core. Everyone's favorite exercise, sidewinders, or whatever it is that you call them. This teaches you how to move your hips in a circular motion while also engaging your core. Your core is the most important muscle group to strengthen in order to grapple. It is the bridge between your hips and your upper body. If someone has your shoulders pinned, the only way you can get out is by using your hips in a kip-like motion. But without your core properly engaged, that energy will die long before it ever gets to your shoulders. There is a weakness, a kryptonite to your hips, and it's your neck spine alignment. Stronger level pins break that alignment, taking the power away from your hips. Start with a basic bridge, see how well it goes. Now, try to put your ear to your shoulder and do that bridge again. Not only is it weaker, it has much less height. Whenever your opponent has you in side control, or worse yet, dope mount, they have your hips and shoulders completely out of alignment, you can't immediately go into your escaping routine of building frames and creating space. Think about it like you're playing 2-player Tetris. You just made a good move, so you dumped a bunch of junk on your opponent's side. Before they can continue what they were doing, they have to clear out all that garbage on top. So if you want to escape building your frames, creating space, you have to get your head and spine alignment corrected, so that way your hips can start to create that space to build your frames, and so on. There's one misconception I want to address when escaping a pin or submission. A lot of people think that when you escape, it should be scot-free. It doesn't work like that. Oftentimes, you are just degrading the position you have so that way you can do a better escape. If someone has you in high mount, it would be great if you can escape that position immediately. But sometimes getting them back to a regular mount is just as good. The same thing goes with a submission, where people think you should just get out clean, but it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you have to put yourself in a worse position in order to escape the submission. You would rather be in the game than lose it entirely. Much like with our core being the bridge to get that power from our hips, there's a few structural things we can do with our limbs to prevent us from getting in submissions or strengthen our chances of getting out of them once we're put in them. For any limb submission, turning your hands palm up, rotate your elbow inward, bringing it closer to your body, strengthening that bridge. Angling your chin down at a 45-degree angle shortens the window where you can get choked while also maintaining your neck spine alignment. Some people keep their chin all the way to their chest, not realizing the power that they just cut off from their hips. That's a good idea when you're in danger, but you don't need to operate like that all the time. Bringing it all together, your hips can do exactly 3 things: bridge, shrimp, and kip. Granted, kipping is a vast definition with a lot of different exceptions and understandings of how it works, which is why it's a higher level technique. You just need to focus on bridging and shrimping for your first few years to nail that down. Because the more important thing is learning how to connect that power from your hips to your upper body with your frames. Without them working in conjunction, nothing else matters. So don't worry about any of those higher level techniques if you can't use your hips and your frames together. And much like everything else in Jiu-Jitsu, passing, sweeping, and so on, it is an algorithm where there's 3 steps, and the first 2 steps repeat over and over again. Build your frames, create space until the 3rd action happens on its own. Don't ever force the final step. Remember that Jiu-Jitsu is a game where we're constantly going to be asking each other questions and giving responses. And the first person who doesn't have an answer or even hesitates loses.